After shoes, there is no more important piece of equipment than your belt, and no other company provides the service, quality, and prices that Dominion gives you. Whether you're looking for a 3 or 4-inch lever or prong, straps, or their newest offering, an all-leather dip belt, this is the place to get the highest quality fast. Don't wait months to get your belt. They have your belt in stock now, ready to help you crush more PRs. And you're supporting a small American business when you order. Go to DominionStrengthTraining.com and use code LOGIC to get 10% off. That's DominionStrengthTraining.com to get your new belt.
You're listening to Barbell Logic, brought to you by Barbell Logic Online Coaching, where each week we take a systematic walk through strength training and the refining power of voluntary hardship.
Welcome to the Barbell Logic Podcast. I'm Scott Hambrick, and that over there is Matt Reynolds.
Hey, what's up?
This is Blake and Katie.
How's it going?
Your website's DominionStrengths.com.
DominionStrengthTraining.com.
StrengthTraining.com. No prep for the show. And you guys make these belts that we love very much now. Of course, you can go to their website and check that out. But we love this belt, and we wanted them to come to Springfield and talk to us about it. Other than the barbell, that's probably the second most important thing, isn't it?
Yeah. And shoes? I don't know, right? It's kind of chicken or the egg question.
Yeah.
What comes
maybe
first, shoes or belt?
Yeah, I guess shoes come first, don't they?
Probably. But that's okay, because you're going to have both if you do this for any amount of time whatsoever. Yeah, we love this belt. It's American made. I really want to tell the story. So you and I, Scott and I, were in Kansas City last week, 2 weeks ago, something like that. And we went and toured Boulevard Brewing Company, right?
Yeah.
The brewing company's a good little craft brew, microbrew, make really good beer, and took a tour and had some drinks. And they got to telling the story about the guy that was making this Boulevard beer. What was he? Do you remember what he was? Oh, he was a woodworker. Remember? So he was a woodworker, and he, right where Boulevard is now, he was building, furniture and doing what he loved, and fell in love with brewing beer as sort of a passion, as a hobby.
Late 70s, early 80s, before anybody did it.
Yeah, before anybody else was doing craft beer. And went around and really got good at making beer. And of course, he couldn't sell beer at the time, didn't have a liquor license to sell it, but you could make it. Started giving it away to friends. And then people started showing up and they're like, hey, we hear you give away free beer. And he would give away beer. And all of a sudden he said, hey, I mean, people loved his beer. And he said, I think maybe I'm onto something here. So what we need to do is we need to go get a loan to actually have like an actual brewery here. I don't remember what the loan was supposed to be for.
It's even better than that. His wife won 2 free tickets on TWA to anywhere. So they loaded up and they went to Europe, and he just did a deep dive on like brewing, and he went to all these different breweries in France and Germany, and then came back home and he's like, I'm doing it. It's on. We went to go get a loan, and they're like, you ain't Coors, you aren't Anheuser-Busch,
right.
And he just went all in, So tell the rest of it.
They're like, well, we're going to have to basically grassroots this thing and pinch our pennies and look through our couch cushions and ask mom and dad for a little bit of help. And what it came down to is we're going to have to sell our house, and we're going to have to move into this brewery. And I get choked up now. And you and I, we kind of made eye contact. We were both like, don't look at each other, and that's the thing. That's what's so awesome about this. And so that's why we want to have you guys down, because we love stories of entrepreneurs and American business and guys that kind of push all in. And you're a mechanical engineer by trade, and you are a microbiologist.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
The smart cookie over here. And you guys are using your college education well, and you're building belts, which is exactly how Scott and I use our college education.
Pretty much.
And so, yeah, we love those stories. Like, so you come out of it and you're like, man, the beer's good. But the cool part was they moved into the brewery. They sold their house and used the money and borrowed the stuff and moved into the brewery. I mean, it's an enormous, it's not a little microbrew anymore. They do a really good job. And so, all because the guy pushed all his chips in the middle to do what he loved and be his own boss.
You see these stats about, 1 in 3 small businesses fail in the first 18 months or, whatever. I don't know exactly what they are, but you see them all the time. And I watch small businesses crop up and come and go. And, some of them are like some doctor's wife decides she's going to sell candles and rents Class A retail space. And they're there for 9 months and then they're gone, and there's so many businesses that are just ill-conceived. And they skew all the stats But then some people move into the brewery.
They have skin in the game.
And they can't fail either because they don't have to really make any money. As long as they can pay the electricity bill and get some more barley and pay the water bill, they're going to be okay.
Yeah.
Folks that do that kind of thing are going to be okay. And so you guys have what I call, this sounds derogatory, but it's not. You guys have crippled into this business, right? You didn't start with a giant budget. You didn't go buy all new machines.
Definitely didn't start with a giant budget.
Right.
No.
Still don't have one.
You figure out how to make some. You make one in your garage. Anyway, tell the story.
Friend shop.
So yeah, where'd you guys start? You didn't start in Orlando.
No, we started in Atlanta. We were CrossFit people, and we started working out at Atlanta Barbell, doing our LP. Even though we'd done CrossFit for several years, we realized we were novices. We needed to go through the full experience of the LP. And so same experience that a lot of people have. You get into this a couple weeks, and suddenly you start needing equipment. We needed shoes right away. And then the belt came up, almost immediately. So we started looking around, and we needed, a good option, so we were looking on Amazon, seeing kind of what's available. And it seemed like everything that you could get reasonably quickly within a few days or a week or something like that was just absolute trash as far as quality. And the good stuff, you had to wait, 4 weeks, 2 months, something like that. So with my background in engineering and...
So step one, you've identified an opportunity.
Yeah.
You can get fast, you can get good, but you can't get both.
Yeah, we needed
those aren't there.
Yeah, we needed
Right.
something that didn't exist.
Right. And so, my background was in engineering. I've always had a side gig on Amazon where I'd source, simple products, stuff like that, resell those. So the gears started turning. I was thinking, maybe we could source something like this and have it made. So, 2 years ago, that's kind of how this started. I started contacting manufacturers overseas. We got lucky. We found a best belt on eBay.
Mm-hmm.
It was like close enough to the size we would have gotten anyway. So we were able to
we
buy
could
that.
both fit into it. So we
Yeah.
Oh,
used
you're sharing the belt.
We shared the belt.
Yeah, so we were sharing a belt. We were close enough to the same size at the time.
That either means that the husband is way too skinny
I was way too skinny.
or the girlfriend's way too fat.
Yeah. I mean,
It was the skinny deal. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
So that's the deal.
Yeah. And so, we had that belt at Atlanta Barbell. They've got kind of the wall of belts.
Yep.
Just every belt that is made. So, I could walk up and down that row of belts, for hours and just, pick out, okay, I like that. I don't like that. This seems good. This seems bad. And, after several iterations, we had a supplier from overseas that was making something that I thought was pretty decent, really,
Yep.
even though it was made overseas. So
Is that 2016? When is that?
yeah, that was like November 2016.
Okay, so the end of 16.
Yeah.
mhm.
Yeah, the end of 16.
End of 16 is a good year for us.
Right before Christmas.
So you were also launching Dominion.
Yeah. And so, there were a lot of steps from there to here, a lot of bad stories in there with the
wanna hear
overseas
some.
suppliers and stuff.
Can we talk about the overseas suppliers? You okay? So, I mean,
we
Yeah.
we're going to listen, you guys got to listen to the whole story because he's not still sourcing from overseas, right? So the first part of
Correct.
this story is you're sourcing from overseas. Where were you sourcing from?
They were sourced from Pakistan.
Okay.
That's a big hub for leather goods of all kinds, especially weight training stuff. And they were pretty good at making you a couple of samples.
Yep.
And they were pretty good at sending you a few hundred of something
Okay.
that, was reasonable quality. And we were having some success with selling them. But then when we started to step up, try to do higher and higher volumes, the quality just didn't keep up with the volume that we were trying to do. We ended up having a disaster about this time last year. We put in the biggest order we'd ever put in. It was over 1,000 units. We got the belts in. It was
Right
November
before-
1st.
yeah,
it was,
right
it was
before
November
Christmas, by
1st
the
when we
way.
got the belts
Yeah.
in. And these belts had spent, a couple months coming over by ocean. They had an inferior plating process on the hardware. And with all that moist, salty air on the boat all the way over, these over 1,000 belts all had rust all over the hardware.
Right.
So we had all these units that we were getting in for, Christmas time and everything, and we were going to be able to sell, and we couldn't sell the first one of them because of that.
And we didn't even know it. We got lucky. We caught it, right?
Yeah, because at the time we were
Someone we knew was lifting with one.
we were using a third-party warehouse to fulfill the things. We're still learning quality control at that point, that we needed to put eyes on every single thing that was going out before it went out. So some of them actually got into people's hands, and we started getting negative feedback, obviously, immediately. And it took a couple days to kind of get our heads around what was going on. I got on the phone with the warehouse and said, hey, I need you to inspect what you've got in inventory. Tell me, is it, 5% of these? Is it 10% of these? What kind of problem are we looking at?
Yeah, like how
And
how
I
bad
think
is
they
it?
just spot checked, 100, and they said all 100 that we looked
That's
at
$30,000 worth of these. That's
have this problem.
So we said ship them all.
And so, yeah, I mean, and talk about a sinking feeling too, because that was kind of all the cash that we had at that point to dive into this product. So I guess long story short, we ended up getting hardware. We ended up taking every single one of the belts apart, putting new hardware on it, putting the belt back together.
Interesting. So the leather was okay, pulled it apart.
The leather was okay. The hardware was crap. Well, in most cases, the leather was okay. There were plenty of
There's
instances where we had
definitely
to do some touch-up stuff there too.
Sure.
But that was a pretty good disaster of a time.
Yeah.
Were you able to get them out in time for Christmas? I mean, were you able to kind of turn those around?
Not really.
Right.
Not anywhere
Wasn't
near
until the early 2018, early this year, that those started actually going out. Yes.
Right.
That was really a big lesson learned. And you accidentally that was sort of your first step into the manufacturing process. I
Well,
guess,
yeah.
like accidentally.
Yeah, because you spend so much time fixing belts, and all of a sudden you're like, it takes a really long time to fix them. I feel like we just made them ourselves. And yeah, you're learning kind of the skills into it, kind of, I don't know, made the gears start turning.
Yeah, and long term, we wanted to do this ourselves anyway. We just didn't know how long that was going to take, what kind of investment up front and equipment and stuff like that it would take. We still didn't know how to build a belt, start to finish at that point. We knew how to repair them. But that and a couple other really bad experiences with the overseas suppliers kind of pushed us, quicker than we thought we were going to go into this as far as making them ourselves.
good.
So that's kind of the long and short of it, I
Lesson
guess.
learned.
So were you hunting for a business to start when you came upon the belt idea?
I've always kind of bounced around to different business ideas. Like
You smell like a hustler.
Yeah, so that's him. Like, that's his nature.
Yeah, I've always had some sort of side gig. I get kind of
Okay, Katie,
restless
it's just me
if I
and you
just
right
do
now. You like that?
Yeah, for sure. Because I'm sorry. I'm like overly cautious. I don't have that bone in my body, but I'm a helper. And like I can see the things where I'm like, with Dominion, I wasn't planning on doing that. Like I worked at the CDC in Atlanta. That's what I did, really different. Knew it wasn't going to work for forever. And then Christmas came around and we had to repair every belt by hand. And I got really good with the drill press.
4,000 rivets to be drilled out.
Yeah, pretty. But we got into it. And also, thank you, Ish and Darcy, for letting us use your shop to repair all the belts.
Friend shout out.
During Christmas.
Because we were in a townhome. We didn't.
Yeah,
we didn't even have a place to work on these things.
Yeah, our friends had just moved to Atlanta with a pregnant wife and let us take over their shop basically to fix all these belts. With no heat for Christmas.
Did they have a business where they ran doing the shop, or he just had a shop?
He's a car guy.
Okay.
Yeah,
he bought
just
it
a detached
specifically.
garage with no heat and
He had a drill press.
right.
He had a drill
some
press and some
other
benches.
basic tools and stuff. So.
And he had car stuff he wanted to do that he didn't do because we were frantically fixing belts.
Oh, yeah.
So Blake, you weren't specifically like, I need to start a business. I want to leave my job. You weren't like on a mission. You just keep your eyes peeled for these kind of things and have.
Yeah, I'm a little bit of a repeat offender. This time that I quit my job for Dominion was the second time I'd quit a job to try to make I was selling books on Amazon at that time.
Yeah.
I quit a job that I felt like I'd kind of sort of reached the glass ceiling and it was going to be a lot of the same for lots and lots of years. So I learned about going to like Goodwills and other places and scanning books and checking them against the Amazon database. And I started doing that when the first people were kind of doing that. It was very lucrative in the beginning. And I said, this isn't a career, but it could be something that would be an interesting, side gig to do while I look around for other opportunities. And it'd free up my time for looking at jobs.
The hustle gene.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's him. That terrifies me. But I say that, but I just like moved states and quit my job. And
I've had a lot of friends tell me I'm crazy for.
Yeah. The more people tell you you're crazy, probably the warmer you're getting.
Yeah.
It's like infectious though, like working for yourself.
So yeah.
Because like you get a taste of it and now I'm like, this is going to work.
You can't go back. You've seen too much
I can't
at
go
that
back,
point.
like no matter what.
You're working your kids too, your future kids.
You never,
your kids don't get to work at Applebee's.
Yeah.
So your kids going to work at Applebee's?
Yeah.
Nope,
well,
they're working for mom and dad.
Yeah.
And then they're going to work for themselves.
They're running the Pakistani drill press.
That's right. That's the deal.
And that's
what you
very
do.
much what I was kind of grew up with them, and not in a bad way, but I grew up with that mentality of, you go to college and you go work for someone and you stay there, and that's a great life. And that is great if you feel like fulfilled.
Yep.
But this is, you make something from start to finish. It's super fulfilling because you go into work and at the end of the day, you're shipping someone something that you made with your hands. So I love it.
So you fixed all those belts. Said, gosh, the time I spent to fix these, I could have just made them and they'd have been right in the beginning.
Yes. Oh, yeah. That's
So
frustrating.
When did you ship your first?
Wait, there's actually another step there. How did you
more
source
steps, yeah.
the leather? So now you got to find a leather source, right? I would assume finding the rivets weren't too difficult. The hardware is probably easier. So where did you source the leather from, or if you want to say, or like, what was that process like finding the rest of these pieces to like put the thing together?
The leather wasn't too bad. There are lots of different distributors in the U.S. that can sell you leather. It was mainly figuring out what exactly you needed. This is a top grain, sole bend leather. And there's a bunch of different types of top grain leather. So figuring out what would be the most appropriate for a weightlifting belt, that was probably the most difficult thing there. The biggest difficulty was actually the seamless roller on this guy. Nobody that I could find stocks this. It's just a stock item. So we have to have people make this special for us. It's got a 5-month lead time on it. We have to order tons of them at a time. So that's less than ideal right now. We're working on that. But that was actually the toughest single component of the whole belt to source.
Interesting. So we've got the sole grade leather. So now this is kind of the standard belt.
Sole bend,
This is
Sole
the one-
bend.
Sole bend leather.
Sole bend leather.
It's got suede on both sides.
Correct.
It's got I call these Chicago screws. They're not exactly Chicago screws, but they look like them from the outside. You said they're actually rivets.
Yeah, it's like if you've seen a pop rivet before.
Yep.
This is a 2-piece pop rivet. So instead of the rivet just, compressing and pinching two things together, you've actually got a second piece that slides over it.
Yep.
So when you pull the rivet, it expands into that second piece and just makes a permanent connection there. So it can't ever come out.
Getting that apart, if you've ever got to do a belt repair,
You have to take a
that's
drill
a problem.
to it.
It sucks.
You got to drill it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it won't come
Those
apart.
are tough.
And the big, thick, seamless roller. It's kind of a high gauge.
Yeah.
Katie's an expert at it.
It's a high gauge
Yep.
roller as well. You've got 4 lines of stitching all the way down the belt, which is nice. Sometimes the belts just do that around the holes and around the entire length of the belt. So you've got suede on both sides. We like the suede because it's grippy, especially on the inside. It kind of helps with the belt not sliding, especially you'll see a lot of people bend over on a deadlift.
On a deadlift.
That's
where
the
it would always
telltale
slide
sign
on
that
mine.
I know when someone's not wearing a belt tight enough is they bend over on the deadlift and it slides up their back. And so this kind of helps prevent that and let you get nice and tight. But you've got really nice skived edges or beveled edges, so the thing doesn't cut into your ribs or my fat pockets.
Your fat pockets? Wow.
If I had those, allegedly.
Microgains continues to offer you solutions to add weight to your barbell, dumbbells, and weightlifting machines in small increments. No more 10-pound jumps. Microgains offers fractional plates for dumbbells and barbells. They also offer loadable dumbbell handles, 5 and 10-pound Olympic plates, micro plates in pounds or kilograms, and a deadlift jack. They also now offer a gym pin to micro-load your lat pull-down or other machine exercises. Pretty cool. Go to microgains.com to get the equipment you need to get more PRs. That's Microgains with a Z. Use code LOGIC at checkout to get 10% off. That's microgains.com. Your press will thank you.
It's just a super nice belt. So this was the first belt then. This style of belt was the first one you sent out, right? The 3-inch double suede.
Yep.
When was the first one that you shipped out?
Just a few months ago. And it hasn't been.
So we moved in July. So August.
Yeah, so you left Atlanta because you couldn't find warehouse space. So you're like, okay, we need to start manufacturing this thing.
Yeah. In Atlanta, it's Atlanta. So whether you're looking for, a shop for retail or not, you're going to pay retail.
Yep.
And in most cities, right, you'll have like super nice street and then 2 streets over, real sketchy.
Yep.
But you're going to pay the nice price because you're inside the perimeter. So, and then his parents live in New Smyrna Beach. And we were like, it's half the price.
Which is 45 minutes. Is it on the Gulf
So
side?
it's on the
Atlantic side. So it's okay.
Yeah, it's
So
just
45
south of
minutes.
Daytona.
Okay.
Yeah.
And east of
So it's
Orlando?
like directly,
Yeah.
it's almost directly east of Orlando,
Okay.
like if that's kind of a way to look at
New
it.
Smyrna.
New Smyrna Beach. Yep.
Smyrna.
That's
SMY.
old Smyrna,
Yeah. Yeah, screw old Smyrna.
But yeah, so it was kind of an easy pick other than the whole like quitting my job and like moving states
Yeah, that's
and
kind of a big deal, right?
Yeah.
Quitting your government job, though?
But it felt good. I'll be
Yeah, it
honest,
did.
it did.
Did you feel a match over your shoulder as you walked out?
Oh, no, not there. Wrong campus.
Yeah.
Maybe if I worked for not the CDC,
Yeah.
but no.
So have you heard my school story?
No.
I lacked 9 hours of getting a microbiology degree at the University of Oklahoma
I thought maybe you had a science degree
and have a chemistry
from
minor.
listening to you.
And
Okay.
I went on some interviews about, doing that for a living.
Yeah.
I was like, this doesn't pay.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So if you're thinking of going into science, everyone, you have to get a PhD. So unless you want to get a PhD, don't go into science.
Yeah, and just don't get a PhD.
If you want to make money, but
It's a good education. It actually is a hard science provides a tremendous actual education.
think about what you want to use it for.
Sure.
Like, say, what do I want to do? And then say, what do I need to learn to do that?
Yeah.
Just get an
Don't
engineering
just
degree.
blindly go in.
You'll have more fun.
Yeah, or get engineering.
Yeah, when I think engineering, I think fun.
Well, I think hireable.
Yeah, definitely.
No,
What year was this? Was it 97? No, it's later than that. 99?
96.
96.
Yeah.
You're in college. You got the Zach Morris phone.
Yeah. My phone rang.
Flesh-colored.
It was I don't remember. It was a big Motorola phone. And phone rang. I was in biochemistry lab, and I had an opportunity to buy a business in Tulsa. I folded my phone up, and I put my shit in the bag. And I split. I like 9 hours to get my degree, so I didn't get one.
That's not true.
But still,
Yeah,
You
you
walked out
didn't get that one.
and never went back to school.
never went back to school.
No, you got that degree.
Nope.
I thought Charity finished it for you.
Yeah, but they gave me some other.
Oh, it wasn't microbiology.
No, they wouldn't give me the microbiology
It was just
degree.
a basic science
Like a
degree or
basic.
something.
Yeah,
A
I don't
bachelor's
even know what it
science.
is.
Yeah, some BS and something.
Well,
Yeah.
mine's not micro. Mine's Oaks to be technical because there's going to be at least one person.
It's what?
Who's like, it's not technically a microbiology degree. That's what I did, but I have a bachelor's in science.
So
Just
same thing you
biological
got. Yeah,
science.
Probably the same thing. Yeah.
Probably what your paper
Two classes
says.
different, but there's going to be one person who's like,
Yeah, he's like, nope, she's a liar.
Yeah,
It's gonna come one of these days. You're gonna run for president, and they're gonna pull it out, and you'll be like,
never.
remember that one time she
Yeah.
lied on the Barbell podcast?
They're going to find it out 10 years from now.
Yeah. So you guys up and found warehouse space in Florida,
Yeah.
and
Mhm.
you left your jobs in Atlanta, moved to Florida, and now you're manufacturing belts. In the last couple of months, that's a big life change.
Perfectly straight line, right?
Yeah.
To get from there to here.
Yeah.
That's the way it works. You're not living in the warehouse yet, right?
Not yet.
Not
If
yet.
shit gets bad though, you got a warehouse you can live in.
We're there a lot, though.
Yeah, get a nice
a
bathroom
lot.
there. You
Gotta-
build a stand-up shower if you had to.
Yeah, we got a hose out back.
Maybe in the
so
back. It's Florida.
That'll work.
You can pretty much
Yeah.
It's
just
warm
fit
enough
it
that you're not going to
Sure.
freeze if you got a hose off. So.
Yeah.
Did you guys consider moving into the space?
I did, but I never said it out loud. Honestly, when we were looking at houses and stuff, I was like, maybe we could just.
We'd have to be stealthy. Technically, it's in the contract that you can't
contract.
actually.
Of course it is.
You can't
It's
have an apartment
it's in
there,
every
but-
contract.
But-
That's just
do
because
it.
they don't want you to run a massage parlor out of it.
Right. But I mean, it also says we can't have a puppy, and we're getting a puppy in that shop.
Hey, don't say that out loud.
They said no pets of any kind, but then
No.
they like spelled out exactly what you couldn't have. They were like no reptiles, no
They were
mice,
really
no
specific.
snakes, and
No
like okay,
mice, a
somebody
few
had a like
reptiles.
pet store gone bad here at some point, and so
Does it say no puppies and no cats, or do they specifically leave those out?
they start with dogs and cats,
Oh,
but then
okay.
they go to the lizards and the snakes and the.
It was a real
mice
in-depth
and-
discussion, and I
Yeah,
kind of
you
wish
could
I
tell
knew
they
the
had a
story.
specific bad experience
Right.
that led to them putting
Right.
all that
Someone
in
was
there.
like
sense.
selling like mice or reptiles online or something.
Yeah, yeah.
Who knows?
I get it.
Absurd.
What made you start with the 3-inch single prong belt? Just as opposed to the 4-inch, was it influence on the 3-inch belt? Do we know that everybody can use a 3-inch? Was it because it was less leather costs? Like, what was the?
I think it just was kind of the demographic we were going for was kind of us.
Yeah.
And that's
Right.
what we needed. That
Couples that share a belt.
couples that share a belt.
You don't?
Well, I mean,
Trudy won't let me use her belts. It's not because we.
we got into strength training because we liked, just fitness in general. We wanted to do something other than CrossFit. We liked getting stronger, lifting weights and stuff like that. We wanted to do that, the best way we could. We weren't, going to be big into competitions or anything necessarily like that. So we needed something that was functional, that was going to work for us, but wouldn't be overkill. I think for a lot of people, it's like that. For, my parents use a 3-inch belt. They're not ever going to use a 4-inch belt.
Sure.
And they're not really ever going to need it.
Yeah, if you can only make one, it's the right call for sure.
Yeah, I think so too.
Right. Yeah. And now we have the 4-inch, but for someone who's like my height or under, a lot of times you don't really need something that
No,
big. I
Yeah.
feel like there's a lot of like kind of small people out there that are 3
a
inches.
3-inch will work for anybody.
Yeah. Like,
A
and
4-inch will
anyone
not
can
work for
use it.
everybody.
Exactly. It's
Right.
more universal.
And I'm one of those guys that I have to have both. Like, I want a 4-inch for
Yeah.
squats and a 4-inch for press and a 3-inch for deadlift.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
I do the same
And
thing.
no belt for bench press.
Right.
Occasionally I'll throw one on.
I've
I get
never
wild
used
hair
a
up my
belt for
ass
bench
sometimes.
press.
Yeah, I've
I've
gone
seen
through
people
weird
do
periods
it.
of life where, like, for a year I use a belt. It's weird. I don't know why.
I've never done it. That's a different debate.
Yeah,
but-
I do think if I used a belt on bench press, it would definitely be a 3-inch, because a 4-inch would sort of cause problems with the arch,
It could.
because you're actually sort of actively trying to overextend your back, especially if you're a competitive bench presser. And a 3-inch.
Yeah,
would
I
allow
don't want
to-
you wearing a belt. I don't want you wearing a belt when you bench. I also don't want you using much leg drive.
for novices in general.
No,
people.
for you, because I don't want you to tear your
because you don't
pec
want me
off
to tear my
again.
pecs off because I keep tearing my
I've heard
pecs
of
off the
this.
bone.
Yeah.
You've heard of such a thing as a pec tear?
What?
I have a couple.
Like I said, overly
I've already
cautious
done that
Katie.
twice.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's not going to happen.
Yeah. Scott just doesn't want me to bench press at all.
No, I want you to bench
Ever
press, but
again.
no, he's going to tear it up, and he's going to have a surgery, and you're going to be all honked up, and then you're,
Honked up.
That's
yeah,
no
then you're
fun.
going to be in a wheelchair. That's the next
From
thing.
a torn pec.
Yeah, that's right.
Next thing you know, you break your acetabulum,
You're
Really?
you break
bedridden.
your hip, you're dead in 6 months. Break your hip, that's it. In 6 months, you're dead, guaranteed. 100% of the time.
If you're over 80, that's probably
That is
sure.
probably true.
We love the belt. Thanks for making the belt.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah. Thank you.
So now you've got 4 belts. I was going to ask, so on the horizon. So now we know you're making this 3-inch belt, and now you're also making this same belt in 4 inches.
Yep.
Right.
And the thing that really sets you apart from everybody else, in my opinion, I don't want to speak for you guys, is that you get a very high quality belt very fast. The trade-off with your company compared to some of the other companies that also make high quality belts is that you guys don't do custom belts. And I think that's great. I think you shouldn't do custom belts because the people who do custom belts take 12 weeks to get you your custom belt. You know, maybe you get it in 4, maybe you get it in 6, but most of the time it's closer to, the more customized it is, the longer it takes.
Right.
You guys are making, at this point, you've now expanded to 4 different belts. You have the double suede belt, the suede on both sides, 3-inch and 4-inch. And now you're starting to make a belt that is a, what do you call it? Just a raw, what's the belt? It's just the sole leather.
So basically the structural piece of leather in here, if you don't put the suede on it and just leave it as a single ply, that's one of the versions of the belt, just a single ply raw leather belt. The other version is you take 2 of these pieces, but they're both thinner. You sew those together, you come up with the same thickness as this belt, but it's all leather. There's no suede.
Correct.
So it's going to be stiffer. It's arguably going to be a little bit, stronger in tension.
Is it 4 rows of stitching as well?
It will be.
Okay.
Yeah,
Double
borders
ply
and
will
stitching.
be. Yeah.
So
And it'll have this logo branded on the tongue.
it will.
Yeah. It'll be like embossed in there. So if you've ever
Right.
seen anything like pressed, it looks really sharp though.
It is
Right.
really sharp.
Yeah.
It's a super cool looking belt. Yeah, it's cool. So do you foresee ever making any more than those 4 styles of belts?
Not unless there's some really compelling reason to do it. I feel like, like you said, one of our biggest advantages is that we can make you a really, really great belt and get it to you in 2 or 3 days.
Yeah.
We couldn't do that if we were doing custom. And, there's so many people that are doing the custom things so well. Why would we want to jump in and compete head to head with them? I don't think that really makes sense for us.
Yeah. That comes back to what Scott said. You guys recognized that the hole in the market was that people that needed a good belt couldn't get one fast. Well, that's a problem. People should be able to buy a good belt fast. It may not be pink and purple with like a inspirational quote on the backside.
Right.
You have the Cookie Monster embroidered on the back
That's
of it.
fine. Like,
Right.
who cares, right?
Yeah.
And also, it's like understanding your demographic. So the people that get belts like that, there's nothing wrong with those people, right? And I have a couple custom belts, but in general, those are competitive people. They're a younger demographic in general. Like, you're really trying to reach the same demographic. That's why we've partnered with you at Barbell Logic. Your demographic is our demographic. It's that art of manliness demographic. It's the middle age. It's that 30 to 55-year-old middle-aged man or woman who needs a belt for function and quality and not for fashion statement, right? And it's a great looking belt. There's nothing wrong with it. It's great.
The color of that belt is the color all belts are after you've had chalk on them for 10 years.
That's right.
They are.
It is somewhat intentional.
We thought about the color. The first belt, the one that was sourced overseas, it was that denim
Yeah.
blue. And
Yeah,
it
more
showed
blue.
chalk. But you know what? We'd watch when we were at Atlanta Barbell and we're like, everything shows chalk. And when he picked gray, so everything Blake wears is either blue or gray.
Yeah.
And so the 2 belts that we've made are blue and now they're gray.
Yeah.
So if he ever wears a third color, it'll
We're
probably
in trouble.
foreshadow our third
Yeah.
belt color. But
If he puts on a different color, he's probably going to propose that day.
Oh, that's true. That's the
then I'll
day.
know. Then I'll
Be
know.
careful.
That's,
I'll
that's
know.
how you know.
Okay. But I joked about that. I was like, hey, that one doesn't show the chalk as much. Not that it matters, but
Well, and the color
course it matters.
The color goes with anything.
It
That's the other
helps.
thing. It really doesn't matter what
Yeah.
you're wearing. It doesn't really clash. The gray doesn't clash with anything.
They go with Reynolds' purple leggings.
yeah. Well, and 2, like we kind of wanted to, like I'm a girl, so I do
What?
like, yeah, I know, ta-da, surprise. But I don't want everything I own to be pink and purple. No offense to the girls that do, like
Sure.
to each their own. But this one was gonna, I don't know, work for everybody. We hope.
Yeah.
So
It's a good color for sort of just, it's unisex. Anybody can wear it. It works perfectly fine for everybody. It doesn't look overly masculine or feminine. It's super functional, very high quality. You can't buy a higher quality belt than this belt. Like, the most custom belts you get are not higher quality than this. They're just more custom than this. I mean,
exotic materials. And
yeah, like
embroidery.
if you want to
yeah.
get snakeskin on the thing, that's fine. It's snakeskin,
Right.
but that doesn't improve the function and quality of the belt. It's just cool because it's got snakeskin on it now, right? And hey, snakeskin belts are cool. It's fine.
And some of the design features on some of those belts are actually worse.
Sure.
Depending on what kind of hardware they use. If
Yep.
they use a seamed roller, if they use, I've seen a lot of belts with rivets that are really meant to be like a decorative rivet
That's
for a
right.
purse or something like that. And those, like, you can almost pull
That's
them
the
apart.
first thing I noticed about this belt was these rivets, which again, I thought were Chicago screws, but they're really from the outside, from the guy that knows nothing about rivets. That's as heavy of a duty of a rivet you'll see on any belt. You won't see anything thicker. What connects, one of my questions is on the loop on the belt, is this glued in here or is it just held in tight enough by the rivets on both sides?
Yeah, it's friction. So that loop is riveted onto itself, and then the edges of the loop are skived so that you don't have double thickness in the middle,
Right.
but it's still thick enough. I mean, this is actually really hard when you put these rivets in to get this to clamp down together on top of this.
So there's like you could pull real hard and it'd be really, really, really hard to get that loop to move at all.
Right.
Yeah. But it's not actually connected to the belt itself.
No, there's nothing physically
It's clamped down.
restraining it.
But
in
even
place
if
other
it
than
did
friction.
move, it's the same all the way around, right? So even if it, right, is there any,
If you tried to spin it out of there, you would start to see where we skived off the suede and into the leather.
I got it.
And you'd eventually spin it around to where you saw the rivet, but you'd have to you'd have to do it on purpose.
Yeah. So there is a single rivet right here in the middle of this
That's correct.
in that loop. Okay. That makes sense. Okay. I got it.
Sturdy.
Yep.
Yeah.
So that's
makes
what we
sense.
spend our time on.
Yeah.
We spend our time on, and he's
It's a hell of a
the
belt.
engineer in you too. It's like we spend all our time on all the little details, right? On like the rivets and how we made the loop and we skive it down and all those things. So hopefully it shows. Hopefully people enjoy them and
It does.
keep using them.
I'm proud of you guys.
Yeah. It's cool.
I appreciate
It's a cool
that.
story.
Thanks.
You want to buy one of these or 3 of these? Actually, you need 2. You need a 4-inch one and a 3-inch one, whoever you are. You can go to dominionstrengthtraining.com. You can use the discount code 5OFF, FAHVEOFF. Yeah? Is that the one?
That's the one.
Yep.
FAHVEOFF.
Yeah, and you'll get $5 off, 5%.
5% off.
That's even better.
Yeah, it really is.
Because you're going to buy 2 belts and then you're going to buy 2 for your wife because you don't wear the same size belts. And you can get this thing in any color you want as long as it's gray.
That's
Yes.
Where
Or
can
the
they follow
raw
you guys on Instagram or other social media? The tweeters?
Yeah, Instagram is at Dominion STG. Facebook is just, Dominion Strength Training. And that's about it for the socials. We're not doing Twitter.
That's it.
I agree.
Buy a belt, do a review, post some reviews on Google on this thing. It's a great belt for the price. It's phenomenal. It's a great belt in general, regardless of what it costs, but I actually don't think they charge enough, but it's perfect right now. One of these days when you're selling 200 of these a day, you start jacking the price up a little bit. So get it in now when the price is good.
Probably.
And by the way, like I think it's just good just to be honest about this stuff. We have a minor relationship in this, but we make no money off this, right? Like when you sell Dominion belts, we make no money. We get, what do we get? $5 back per belt we sell
store credit.
on the belt, on the store
Like-
credit. So
like
I don't
store
make any
credit.
money. And by the way, we're just going to take that and get belts and give them to our favorite people anyway,
Yes.
right? So I'm going to end up with some free belts out of this deal at Dominion, and then we're going to send it to like the employee of the month or our favorite client for a PR, like congrats on the PR. Here's a Dominion belt. We love you. Happy birthday.
Oh, that's awesome.
Like that's what we're going to do with the thing. So like we're not making any money off this deal at all. Yeah. But I think in full disclosure, we want to talk about I think it's just, let's just tell them what the relationship is, which is for every belt that's bought, we get $5 back. So
In store credit.
in store credit.
Which is fine. Yeah, we'll ask for more some other time. But if you're out there and trying to start a business and you've got a good product and you do not suck, we'd love to help you do that. I mean, to me, that's the more important thing is to help people do that.
Yep.
We want people to be strong. We want to be self-actualized. We want to be smart. And this is all part of it. And glad you all did it. So thanks for that.
Yeah,
Thanks
absolutely.
for coming out.
Yeah, thank you guys.
Flew
Thank
out here from
you.
Florida and hung out in Springfield. We're going to eat some good food and drink some good whiskey tonight and
Looking forward to it.
hang out
Yeah.
for sure.
Enjoy the weather. You have seasons here.
Yeah.
It's
It's
great.
fall right now. It's beautiful.
That is another Barbell Logic podcast. If you're watching, go subscribe on iTunes so you can get the audio feed. Or if you've got one of those Android phones, you can go to Google Play. You can use Stitcher. You can use TuneIn Radio. Send an email to iHeartRadio because those clowns are by invitation only. We can't get on iHeartRadio unless they ask us to. So send those guys an email and tell them what they're missing out on. And maybe we can get on that channel. And if you're one of the audio-only people, go to YouTube because there's all kinds of goodies there. You can go join our Facebook group. If you have any questions, you can email us at barbelllogicpodcast@gmail.com. And thanks for listening.